Hey, Tower of Babble podcast fans, it's Julian, and I'm here with a special edition of the Tower of Babble podcast. We took an excerpt from this week that features just Xbox One talk. We didn't want to make you wait through a full episode to get to it, so we put it up as its own thing. Enjoy. And that would lead us quickly into the biggest news of the day, and apparently the biggest news of the month as far as gaming news, the Xbox announcement. So, it's called Xbox One. Dan, what do you think of the name?
I mean, I don't put too much into, I don't really care that much about the name. I will say that Xbox One versus PS4, PS4 sounds like it's the fourth version, like it's more advanced. Xbox One is kind of almost a step back. But I also... that doesn't discourage me from buying it at all. That's just how I look at the name.
No, I agree. At the same time, it's like whether it's called the PS4 or just the PlayStation or Xbox Infinity or Xbox, which most people thought it would be, and gave us a nice little switcheroo there. But regardless, we're just going to call it the Xbox and the PlayStation. So it doesn't really come down. Yeah. It doesn't really matter at this. It does it doesn't matter to us, but it matters to consumers. I think calling it Xbox One, personally, mistake. Which you said, it seems like a step backward. They also referred to the Xbox 360 as the original Xbox in the press conference. So, what is the original Xbox called now?
I don't know.
It can't be called Xbox One. So,
and that's also there's already been a PS1, right?
Yeah,
you know, PS2, PS3, and everybody calls the PlayStation PS1 now.
Yeah, exactly.
So Xbox One, I mean, I doubt anybody thinks it is on that level, but it sounds like it.
Are they going to call that? Are they going to call the next Xbox 2?
Hopefully not, because then they're always behind.
Yeah, it's confusing to me. Maybe it'll tie into the marketing in some way, but at this point,
it's like one, because they're all about the TV and the connectivity of all of these other things, right? So it's like one, not the number one. Not the first iteration, but also like one entertainment system.
That's true. That's a good point, because it's not spelt. It's like you said. It's not the number one. It's spelt ONE, right? Mm-hmm. So that might be, and that actually makes sense to what they were talking about later, which is that it's not just about games. In fact, they took them until the half an hour mark of the presentation before they even talked about any games,
because at this point they are focusing on what's new. I mean, obviously you're going to be playing games on the system primarily, but they're very much they talk about their TV functions a lot.
Yeah, which is the first half essentially of the presentation. They talked about easy switching, so they can you can switch between your game, your movies, and your television all seamlessly. It's now the Xbox is plugged into your cable box, essentially. It is your cable box.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I mean, at the same time, I don't really watch that much TV anymore, so
no.
It's
the only TV I watch is PVR or Netflix. So
the fact is, I already have something that plays the television. I guess it's really not that. It doesn't really add that much to me.
It's not revolutionary, but whatever. It's a cool feature, and switching quickly between is nice.
They talked about the new Kinect 2, which is involved in that. It was the fact that you can do voice commands, and you can do the grab and pull, and it brings you back to the home screen, which looks a lot like Windows 8 kind of does now, and a lot like what Xbox does now already. Personally, what do you think of that strategy to go towards we're not just about games, we're about TVs, we're about being the center of your living room?
No, it's good for them, and it's also good that they didn't announce, they didn't focus on that at E3. It's this is leading up to E3. At E3, they're going to focus on the games. They're going to focus on the hardware and the specifics of what E3 is all about. It's all about, essentially, it's about gamers, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
So focusing on this TV and all this other crap now just pumps up your general audience up, and then gamers are looking forward to E3, and they're going to get all the news that they care about most at E3. So it's targeting the right audience at the right time.
I guess that does make sense, because you consider that they did say we were going to be talking about our games at E3.
Yeah,
they did say that,
and E3 is the venue to do that. That's where you go.
It's true. So will be PlayStation will also be talking about the games. So I think we already know that this year's E3 is going to be huge. obviously we're going to be there, like we're not going to be there covering it, but we'll be covering it from here as best we can. And like, I just seeing it's like these two giant companies are going in completely different directions. PlayStation came out and said right away that they're going to talk about, we're here for gamers, we're the gamers made for gamers, by gamers. Developers gave input. They wanted to make it easy to develop for, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
They didn't talk about we want to be movies, we want to be like, of course that stuff will be there too. They said, yeah, don't worry, we'll have Netflix, we'll have HBO Go, we'll have all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this, they're like, they put aside, don't worry, we'll have games, but we're a entertainment unit. You can Skype, you can I don't know if you saw that, but you can snap Skype while you're watching a movie and have Skype up on the right hand side of your screen from your what's it called, Connect.
Okay.
So you can say like, snap Skype, call Daniel, and he'll call you while I'm watching a movie or whatever, right? And you can also like put in Internet Explorer in there and like Google something at the same time as you're watching a movie or a television show, which is cool. I mean, but all that stuff, I feel like I can do that already. I have an iPad. I can watch a show and do something else at the same time without having to do voice commands and do all that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, for the record, not everybody does. I also don't know how many systems that's going to sell specifically. That
no, I know.
little bit of information.
And how much more is it going to cost because they had to include all this stuff? Like, I don't want to pay to have TV functionality that I'm never going to use because,
exactly.
To be honest, I don't give a crap. And it's really, and they came out, they said it is only for the US, at least for the launch.
Initially.
It'll be only for the US. Do you, I'll just jump back a little bit here. What do you think of how it looks?
The system itself?
Yeah, the system itself.
That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I don't really care that much. It's a square box that you put a game into to play.
It literally couldn't be more square. It's just a giant... It's literally the most rectangle it could possibly be.
Yeah.
There's no curved edge at all.
I've never bought a system based on how it looks.
No,
right?
that makes sense. But I mean, at the same time, the original Xbox was kind of ugly. It had that tray loading thing that broke easily. This has the slot loader, kind of like the PS3 has now.
Uh-huh.
Half of it is vents. Just half of the whole machine is just vents. They said they wanted to run. They wanted to run silently, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
because you don't want a super loud in the corner while you're
Xbox
watching a
360
movie.
is pretty loud.
Yeah. They also said that, you know how there's a giant power bar for the Xbox 360?
Yep.
They've integrated that into the box, so it's just a cord. It's just a cable now. So that's good. As far as how it actually looks, as the same. It's not really that big of a deal. I like that it's black. It just looks nicer with in a unit as a black box rather than a white like concave thing that the Xbox 360 was. The controller. Have you seen what the controller looks like?
Yeah.
I like it. I like this controller. It's essentially kind of like a mix between the original Xbox controller and the 360 controller.
I don't know. These controls have evolved to the point where they're essentially the same too, though.
Yeah, well,
like
they
both
added
systems.
They fixed the D-pad. The D-pad sucked before, so they made it better. But other than that, it's just a black controller.
Yeah.
It looks exactly the same. It's got like the offset analogs. It's got
there's nothing revolutionary about the controller, but we also didn't really want or need anything revolutionary. We know how to use these controllers, and this one is catered to that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I just don't want to use Kinect. Like, I'd rather just use a controller.
I don't know. I like some of the stuff that they're talking about with Kinect, but I don't want that to be the primary control.
I agree. The new Kinect, though,
at
is
least not
interesting.
yet. But the thing, what I take away the most from all this is all the stuff that they're talking about Kinect is like, as someone who's played video games pretty much my entire life, that's the future. That's what, like, even playing Sonic as a kid, that's eventually you imagine yourself playing a game where you can use your hands to actually
grab rings,
physically can control and like be moving, and like virtual reality is what we're talking about, right?
Oh yeah, I get that.
So maybe we're not there yet, but like these are all steps in the right direction, and I'm very much in support of that.
I appreciate innovation.
Yeah,
I like
of
playing
course.
games with the controller, at least right now, until it becomes
I think no, the
more
controller, the
natural.
controller should always be an option until it's no longer needed, and like we're not at the point right now
Yeah, no,
where we can play without a controller and have the same experience.
it's not the same. What I really liked was the sorry, what was it called?
I don't know, man.
No, I forgot. Anyways, whatever. It's not. What I really liked was the the ease of use that you could switch it back and forth between everything. Was what I was getting at.
no,
Sorry.
and
It was instant. Like you could just go boom, switch, and it was just like right away, boom, you're right into your game, or you're right back to your movie, or you're right wherever. Again, at the same time, that's not huge for me. I just think that's cool. The new Kinect is more advanced. It has you can read more of your body.
that's important.
Yeah,
The other thing you said, like that, switching like that is nice. It's also kind of a luxury. It's also, again, like that's not what sells the system for me. It's just a
Exactly.
nice little added feature. It's like, yeah, I have that option as like, I mean, there've been times where I've been watching a movie or whatever, and the movie's done, and I want to, jump into the game right away or whatever. It takes 2 minutes to go and do it. It's not a huge deal.
That's true. Yeah, that doesn't sell me. That's just something that like, they took what the Xbox does now, and they've refined it. They made it faster and easier to use.
Which is what you expect out of a next gen
yes,
system.
I agree, but that's not. I want you still want something new. You don't want just more of the same, but better.
For sure.
An interesting thing that we've been talking about leading up into this whole launch was that the Xbox might be always connected, might be always online. So they did say today, after the event, there was a bunch of roundtables and different discussions and different things that Microsoft was putting press through, was that it will not be always online, but you do need an internet connection, and it can't be offline forever. So, so essentially, it needs to all games have to be installed. It comes with a 500 gigabyte hard drive. All games need to be installed, and what?
Okay, never mind.
Go ahead. Okay,
go ahead.
all games need to be installed, and they need to be verified. They need to be attached to your Xbox Live account, and if someone has a different Xbox Live account on that system, they can't play that game. It's locked. And to play that other game, to play it on the other account, there's a fee. They haven't said how much or how that's exactly going to work, but essentially, you can't share games in the same house.
That's a little ridiculous. I mean, I understand where it's coming from. I understand, like, them wanting people to, pay to play the game themselves. But at the same time, like, if I, for example, like, I was actually having this conversation with my boss at work a while ago. Say he has an Xbox in his living room and an Xbox in his kid's room or whatever, and they want to play the same game. That's not really a possibility unless you use the same account, right?
Yeah. But you think that might also be locked to the system. So it might not only be locked to the system, but the account on that system. So you can't even take it to your friend's.
That's ridiculous. I mean, like,
that's still speculation at this point, but that seems to be
that's a lot.
So it says they came out and said, well, don't worry, we're not going to say you have to have an internet connection, but we need to verify things. You can't. I mean, it needs to connect to online at least once a day, kind of stuff like that.
So you do need to have an internet connection.
It's not always online, but it might as well always be online, essentially.
I don't know. It's tough because I do understand why they want that kind of stuff to happen, why they want to prevent people from sharing games and stuff like that. But
at the same time, it's
extreme.
Like it's extreme, and it's like counterproductive. You want people to share games because you want people talking about your games. You don't want people being locked into be like, I would love to tell you, but you can't play it. So, no, that's not. It just seems so. It's free marketing when you have people like doing that. I mean, at the same time, yes, you want people to play games, but it's not about just sharing games. It's about like my sister can't play a game or my brother can't play a game, and they play the same PS3. Like, and not it just. That kind of stuff frustrates me when you see companies take those types of. It almost looks like a step backward than a step forward. When they finally did start talking about games, the first thing they had on was an EA guy talking from EA Sports, and they showed a trailer showing off what EA Sports can look like on the Xbox One and PS3 or PS4. Sorry.
Yeah.
They didn't say PS4, but it'll obviously be on PS4.
It'll be similar, yeah. It will look like that, yeah.
The only major bit of news that came out of that was that FIFA is going to have the Ultimate Team. You know what the Ultimate Team is? I use it on NHL all the time.
Yeah.
But only for the Xbox, is what they said. But I feel like that might only be true for a small period of time. I just don't see EA going exclusive with even something like FIFA, which is the number one selling sports game. Like, I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't really need to do that unless they have some kind of crazy deal with Microsoft. But
I mean, Call of Duty already has a crazy deal with Microsoft. They
get their stuff first, their DLC first, and all that.
And that's continuing through into the Xbox One. All the games except for one they showed were not exclusives. They did say that they have 15 games coming out within the first year from first-party studios.
Yeah.
Eight of which were new. 8 of which were new IPs.
8 of which are new franchises. Is what they said.
So that's interesting. Obviously, so 7 of them are existing stuff. So you obviously have like Forza and you have like Halo and stuff.
Probably
I'm sure
Halo, Gears of War.
Yeah, I'm sure those things are already in development. So I wouldn't be surprised. It's the new stuff that I want to see. Like they announced, what was it called? It was Quantum Break.
Yeah.
Which looks like it's tied in with like some live action stuff. So that might tie into the TV thing. Like maybe it's like a TV show you watch on Xbox and then you play games with it. It looks like it has time travel and stuff.
And that is a cool concept in itself. It is very early. We're just speculating at this point, but the idea of having something that is so connected like that, which is kind of what they are talking about in the presentation, having that connectivity, that's very exciting as a gamer, to me anyways.
Yeah, no, just incorporating more types of media.
It just makes it more immersive. It makes you care about it more. I don't know, the more the better. Like, the more interactive and immersive it can be, the better, right?
Well, it's the same thing that excites you about the Shield thing, which we never even talked about. Yeah, Shield.
Yeah, we did our TV segment. We didn't even talk about the Shield show, but whatever. We
don't
have that much news about it yet.
Shield, I'll just do a quick thing. Shield announced, obviously picked up Tuesday nights on NBC. Is it NBC? ABC. And it's tied in with the cinematic universe, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm trying to say about that is that it's the same thing that excites us about the show that's tied into a greater universe. Is you can play a game that's tied into a universe that's ongoing in a show. That's exciting. That feels like you're a part of something. Yeah. That's interesting.
And the other thing about the reason that we're so excited about that from a gamer standpoint is that the game gives you the opportunity to like, the interactivity is a whole other level than just watching a TV show. Like, obviously the Shield show, that's great and everything. Watching a TV show and watching movies. The game, you get to play within that universe, and you get to control and even dictate where that universe goes within that game, right? So, very exciting. But again, that's also all. Everything we just said was complete speculation.
Yes, agreed. But it points in that direction, which is what's again. That's what's exciting about it. It's the future.
It's the fact that it's potential. It's a possibility.
It's a possibility which we don't even have now. So that's what's great about it. What else was I gonna say? What was funny is that, and I was mentioning to you this before the podcast started, was that the Sony stock went up 9%. After
Sony or Xbox? Or Sony or Microsoft?
Sony stock. So that I don't know what that spells as far as the market confidence in this, but it's probably not. That's probably not a good thing. I think that's more people betting on PlayStation than I'm sure Microsoft's went up as well. But Microsoft is as a company is a much broader.
Yeah.
So when you have an Xbox reveal, the effect on the stock isn't going to be quite as
for sure. Again, like, we don't really know too many details about either system, so I mean, that's good news for Sony. We'll see. In the coming weeks, we'll get a lot more information about the actual specs of the systems.
Well, they did tell us what was under the hood, but
a little bit. The RAM, the Xbox RAM, is using the DDR3 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just it's a slower RAM than the PS4.
Did they say for sure it was DDR3?
Yeah.
You read? Okay, so
I'm looking at it right now. Anyway.
Okay, so it said it's 8 gigs DDR3.
Yeah.
Xbox 4 is
PS4 is
8 gigs.
GDDR5.
Okay, so yeah, it's faster. And I was there. I was listening to an interview that not an interview, but he was the impressions that Peter Molyneux, that EA, he's behind like The Sims and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh wait, not The Sims. Like Age of. Anyways, Peter Molyneux, big gaming guy, important. He was talking about how, as a developer, no matter what, RAM is the most important thing. You want, if you more RAM, the better. If they could have 20 gigs of RAM, they would be happy. Essentially,
RAM, and they didn't say anything about processing power, but it's all about speed though. Like you want it faster, to be able to handle these 60 frame per second games.
Well, especially if you have a system where you have the ability to jump back and forth. That means that there's something going on in the background.
Yeah, it's keeping track. Yeah.
So that obviously takes up a portion of the RAM, a portion of the processing power. So that might not bode well. Although I'm sure that it'll be comparable because you want things to run similarly on both systems. But at the same time, if it's slower than the PS4, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. And
it's the kind of thing like Xbox it's a great initiative to want to do all these things where you can switch and everything. Switch between TV and your movie and your Skype and your game. But if it slows everything down, the fact that you can switch is great. But if it kind of ruins the experience, it's not really worth it.
Exactly. If you can't have a game that looks as good as Battlefield 4, which was again announced also for the Xbox One, not a surprise. If you can't have a game that looks as good as that, if it needs to be toned down to work for the Xbox, that's a
not even just that it's toned down, but like, is that going to slow down? Like, if you want to switch between that and TV, is that going to slow shit down? Is the game not going to play well if you have a movie also going on? You know?
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you worry about. At the same time, DDR3 will make the box cheaper, which there's no pricing obviously, and they said
it's too early for that, but
will be launched not worldwide, but around the world, which is different, by the end of the year. So
say around the world is different than worldwide.
Yeah, it's absolutely different. Worldwide would be everywhere in the world at the same time. Around the world doesn't necessarily mean that. It means you could release it in two different places. That's around.
I guess that's semantics. I know what you mean.
Yeah, but we can all agree that I don't think the Xbox is going to be ready to launch in every country around the world at the same time.
Well, yeah,
but they'll probably pick obviously the United States, North America market, probably like Britain and
the
France,
UK,
and then maybe Japan. Although they're really not popular in Japan. No one has an Xbox. They just gave up pretty much in that market, especially because a lot of the problems with the Kinect was that people live in really small homes and have really small living rooms in Japan, and that it doesn't really work as well in a room that small. So I would be surprised if they make a huge push in Japan, although I don't think you can ignore it because it's just not that it's a huge market, but it's just not small enough and that you could just say, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know? Is there anything else we have to say about the Xbox One?
The name was a surprise. Like we all knew this was coming. So like.
Oh, okay. How about this? How about the Xbox Live thing? They didn't say you'd be able to bring over your achievements, but I think we can pretty much all assume that you can. I'm sure
you should be able to.
That would be a mistake.
The other cool stuff that they were talking about is a lot of the cloud stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Trophies / achievements can evolve, so developers will be able to add or remove trophies to games depending on the feedback and whatever.
Okay, that's cool.
That's cool.
They said a lot of the stuff will be uploaded to the cloud. You'll be apparently there was someone I don't know where I read it that some of the work and the power that the system needs can be offloaded to like the cloud as far as like virtual machines in the cloud to help with processing power and stuff like that. So that might be cool. Obviously, they're going to include stuff like they talk about smart glass at last year's E3, which is the ability to use your like tablet and stuff to integrate with your system. But they haven't really shown that yet in any significant way. It's just been they just talked about it. So and then that was at last year's E3 yet. So they still haven't really moved forward with that. Obviously, as far as the games, they talked about the EA Sports. They talked about ESPN isn't really a game so much, but they did talk about NFL. There's an NFL partnership for watching live sports. So yeah, be able to watch NFL live, be able to watch NBA live. I think MLB, and it'll integrate with your fantasy sports. So if you're watching whatever, and
That's a really cool
your player
feature,
scores, it'll go blink, and a sidebar will come up and it'll show your team and the additional the points right away. You'll be able to like interact with other people on your in your league right away. I think that's cool because fantasy football and fantasy sports is bigger and bigger every year. I haven't played in a couple of years, but I won once. I won my league once.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Long story. It was the year that Tom Brady got injured in the first game, and I had him picked first overall, and I still managed to win. But anyway,
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you, Clinton Portis, is all I have to say. But yeah, like that's interesting. I think they really know how to appeal to the broad market, that Xbox crowd, the guys who like to play Call of Duty, watch football, and like that's all they do, on their machines.
Yeah.
So if you can appeal, that's a
huge
people.
demographic, and
yeah, especially in the States.
They'll pay the money for that system.
Exactly. So I mean, and then they closed up the whole conference with Call of Duty. Again, I mean, whatever, they have a big tie-in. It's just odd that you wouldn't end with like an exclusive, especially because we already know Call of Duty is coming to PS4.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, it looks cool. It's built on a new engine, finally. I mean, it's about time. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they've been working on that Unreal, using that modified Unreal engine since Modern Warfare 4, or Modern Warfare, not Modern Warfare 4. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare game.
Okay, yeah. So that's a long time.
So it's about time that they update that stuff. I mean, it looks cool. They showed there'll be more interactive maps and stuff. But my first thought was that Battlefield's been doing interactive maps for a long time.
It doesn't matter though. Like Call of Duty has the popular vote, and like as much as Call of Duty is not an exclusive, it feels like it is almost.
Exactly. Every Call of Duty commercial ends with the Xbox logo. People think that some people think you can only get it on the Xbox.
And the DLC coming first to Xbox and stuff like that. Like they have a lot of people that play Call of Duty play it on an Xbox, and they're stuck with that now. So it is almost like an exclusive, and it's one of their powerhouses. It's going to sell systems for them.
Of course. It always will. I mean, Call of Duty I don't think will ever not be popular. It's kind of like that. I mean, I don't know if it'll ever not be popular, but it's just got that persistent to it. It's like people just buy it for the multiplayer, won't even play the single player. The single player just looks like more Call of Duty. Yeah. On rails, big explosions, running down buildings, like all that kind of stuff. It's like I'll be game. I'll try that. I'll give it a shot. There's new dogs. You can use a dog in single player, which is cool. I don't know what that means for multiplayer, but whatever.
I mean, in terms of what we're talking about now, like, yeah, I don't even know. I might buy the new Call of Duty just because. Like it is fun. It's a fun arcade game to play online. I don't know if that does not sell me on the Xbox One though.
No, exactly.
I'm more likely going to have a PS4 than an Xbox One.
Yeah,
at this point,
that's where I come out of it at this point, coming out of that presentation versus the PlayStation presentation is just that I, as a gamer, in my position, how I look at things, Sony appealed to me in a way that Microsoft didn't. They said, you're a gamer? Well, we have games for you. You just play. Here they are. Here's what some of them are called. Here's what some of them look like. This is what this is what the system can do. This is why it can do these things, because developers told us it can do these things. That way we can make better games for you. That's the kind of stuff that I want to hear. This where they're like, well, you can watch your TV. Mm-hmm. We have
and that's
Price is Right.
That's just the company strategy, though. Xbox isn't targeting specifically gamers; they're targeting a more general audience, which may or may not be a good move. We'll see how it goes.
At this point, they're kind of diverging paths. It's like, who do you put your money on?
Yeah.
It's like, because one of them's going to succeed. One of them is I think it's one or the other. I don't think they can both really.
I think they can both take a chunk of it. Like neither one is going to be a flop.
I don't think. Yeah, they'll still be around for a while.
These are both next gen systems that we're going to have to get used to.
It's just interesting to see such a divergent path, especially from two companies that seem so similar for such a long time.
That's true.
Like the Xbox and the PS3, or the Xbox 360 and PS3 seem so.
They're almost perfect substitutes.
Yeah, it's like you want one. It's the only difference. You can't play Uncharted. You can't play Gears of War. Like those are the only. And Halo. It's like, which ones do you like more? But at this point now, it's like, yes, they'll have similar games, but the systems do completely different things, and
that might not be a bad thing though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, maybe
It is expensive to own all three systems.
yeah, not everyone is has that option, which is fine. You make your pick and you live with that, which is why you get that such rampant fanboyism and and hating towards, because you invested so much in this one system that to think that the other one is doing better or is succeeding when yours isn't or isn't as much is like, well, I invested in that, so it's like I'm attached to it. So if you insult that, you're insulting me. And if you're succeeding, I'm not succeeding. So fuck you. Which is a shame, but it makes sense.
It's inherent in the way that these things are marketed, but it's going to happen either way. I do kind of want to have both just so I can play. Like I haven't played any Gears of War, but I do want to play the nice Halo game.
Well, and exactly. I mean, I haven't bought a Call of Duty game since Black Ops, and I haven't played a Halo, although I watched all of the cutscenes.
Are you serious?
For the last Halo? Yeah, I did.
I told you I'll lend you my Xbox. You can play. I have Halo 4.
So I really want to play. I said earlier in the episode that I really like the Halo universe. So I want to play, but that's the only exclusive to Xbox
that's true.
That gets me.
PS4 right now, the way things stand right now, is my choice. Ideally, I'd have both, but
I think at this point it comes down to the games. Who and what are you going to offer?
It also does depend on these 8 new franchises that Xbox is offering and how those work. Because that's exciting to me. Also, as a gamer, just as a fan, it's exciting to hear of these new franchises that are also exclusives. That them being new and exciting things makes me want to buy the system just so I have that opportunity.
No, I got you. I get you. So I think that pretty much covers everything on Xbox. We talked about Call of Duty. We talked about all the EA games. We talked about what the box looks like and can do. We talked about how the systems separate each other, the PS4 and the 360 Xbox One. Okay. So I think that pretty much covers it for the week. If you have anything else to say, Dan, speak now or forever hold your peace.
No, I think we did a good job with it. It's also pretty long, so let's cut it up.
I think it's about time that we came to an end. I'm sorry it's so long this week. It's
there was a lot of news because we missed last week too.
We missed last week, so we had to catch up. And we we completely forgot to talk about Shield. So that's one thing we could have talked about.
We rushed through a lot of stuff, but whatever. We can talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll bring it up with Jeremy. We'll see what he has to say.
We don't have Game of Thrones next week, right? So
we have even more time. In the meantime, you guys stay tuned to our site. Should be more content throughout the week. That is, again, towerofbabblepodcast.com. We are on, send us feedback and questions, all that good stuff to towerbabblepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @towerbabblecast. We're on Facebook. I have a Google Plus account as well for the site, so find us and follow us everywhere you are. We will see you guys next week. Goodbye.
Peace. See you.
Bye.